So, that was eventful. Hi everyone, my name is Radical and welcome back to the channel. It's been a while since I've uploaded anything, and you know, in the next few days hopefully I'll be able to explain why. However, Sonic Frontiers, June 1st, IGN's cover story for the month was Sonic Frontiers, with coverage of the game starting yesterday by the time of writing. They'll be releasing gameplay videos, trailers, interviews, hand-on impressions, and more. But now, I want to emphasize that what I write today could age in many different ways the more the month goes on. But if I want to summarize what I thought about the gameplay demonstration, well, there's positive, mixed, and negative feelings. Now, I don't want to immediately jump to any deep dive yet. I don't feel comfortable going all the way in without seeing or hearing everything that they are showing, as by the time of writing we already know that tomorrow they'll be showing off more gameplay focusing on the combat system. However, we've seen a look into the moveset and light exploration, so what are my thoughts? Let's start off with positives, more specifically the graphics. I still stick by what I said when I mentioned in Twitter and Reddit that this game is one of the best looking Sonic games. The lighting is great. The environments really help this game give a look of polish. This area hasn't changed for me ever since the Game Awards. It truly feels like a next generation Sonic game. We have been told that this island is the first one we will start with, so it's going to be interesting to see how well the graphical side of the game holds up during the game levels. Weather effects and full day and night cycles will really help immerse me into this world. The engineers of the project have mostly done a really bang up job. However, there is a caveat which we will explain later. However, let me move on to movement and traversal. And while I'm a little nervous seeing some aspects of Sonic Force's framework here, I'm beginning to feel from what we can see here, they've done a pretty decent to good job of making the necessary changes needed to make this work. Sonic can do sharp U-turns, he can boost to cover ground easily, but what was most striking to me was the return of wall running and parkour from Lost World. I'm really happy to see it return, as I felt it could have gone well with the emphasis on exploration. I can imagine using the wall running and the deeper into the islands, and I feel it would add a lot to the experience. It seems that it's indicated that you can use parkour on the blue walls. Charmic's got some good eyes, not gonna lie. And if used enough, can be a stylish but convenient way of traversal. Climbing was also seen, which was weird at first. However, I do like, as it's a slow version of climbing up, since you can go faster and run too. Grind rails look to be mainly used as an alternative way of transportation and traveling, and after puzzle completion can be revealed to each new collectibles, which explains the amount of rails in the sky. Actually, let me talk about the collectibles for a second. We saw a variety of things we can gather within the world. First, we have traditional rings, but we have these purple coins with either what looks to be a teardrop or a chow head. Hearts, orbs, and different types of fruit. It seems exploring and messing around will reward you with these types of items, as grind rails lead to said collectibles. But destroying crates and solving puzzles also reward the items too. Now, this is just a theory, but I honestly believe if any game was going to have it, it might have something related to Chow. This is a theory, and I'll need to think about it more, but there's a lot of things you can collect that they're going to have to be used for something. I think the amount of side content, from what we can see in the background, looks to be substantial. The tone of music, what I think helps the gameplay trailer for me is the tone of music within it. It was really hitting a balance and feel of mature and sensible in its presentation. The music is calm but somber, and the tone of the world seems like it's prime has long since passed. I feel bad for this world for asking to find out more. The main objective is to pique your interest and imagination, and shit, they did it. Animation and details. So for animation, this is a half positive, as some animations have been added or improved. Sonic has idle animation back and looks nice. He reaches out for statues, and overall, he looks to be interacting with the world and environment. However, what I do appreciate and what makes me feel better about the polish of the game going forward is the extra details added. You can find strange creatures scattered across the landscape, birds flying by, rock piles tumble over when you pass them. Things like that can only appear when you have the time to do it. It's something small, but it's appreciated. Now, I'm going to move on to stuff that I am mixed about, because there is a little bit of fair view. There's like probably 2-3 points I can make when it comes to what I'm mixed on. So the first one is a little bit unfair, as I'm highlighting objectives here. What I feel made the gameplay demo appear weird at first was how directionless it was. There wasn't a set goal and the player wasn't engaging with everything around him. But I'm on the side that there is a lot to do, but if you're just running around, it won't look like that. There was so much in the distance I could see, but there's just ignoring it. And now, because it has been clarified this was just a demo showcasing Sonic's control and interaction with the world, then I can excuse this for now, but it sucks because it really does look like there's a lot to do, and I want to see it so badly. The second point I could make is puzzle solving. So we got shown 3 types of puzzles during the gameplay demo. The first was 3 torches that Sonic could use that could extinguish using the spin cycle. This is the type I like to see. It uses Sonic's abilities to complete these smaller challenges, but also shows us how tight his turning is. It's proper 360-degree turning. But the second puzzle, however, was basic and was honestly what I expected the puzzles to be like. Almost every type of open world game has these types of puzzles where you have to put it in a set path, and the person does mess up during the gameplay teaser, and you might think, how the hell do you mess that up? But honestly, I would be the type of person to just sit back for just a moment and think, okay, that's how you do it. Like, it's just a little bit of like a little brain teaser. It's nothing like amazing, but like, it doesn't need to be. It is a little bit of filler content, but it's such a staple in a lot of games. Even non-open world games have stuff like this. So I don't really have the right to be mad. And I'm not, because there are some decent, puzzles here. Of course, you have the torch one, but you also have like the hamster wheel one, which seems really cute. And with how there's a timer and stuff, and how easily the person was able to figure it out and finish it before the time even got halfway, I'm going to assume the puzzles get drastically harder the more you go into the game, which makes sense. But I think all of this really depends on how these puzzles operate long term, because I feel there will be some repeat puzzles. However, I think the majority of the puzzles that we'll be experiencing within the open zone will be unique. At least I think the majority of them will be like one-offs with some repeated ones for good measure. But this is when we move on to the negatives, and I've only got 2 major negatives that I need to talk about. The first one is the animation. Now, I mentioned before that half of the animation looked pretty good. However, the other half looked janky and unfinished. While at first it didn't look so bad, when Sonic reached the trail leading to the waterfall, he managed to reach a trick ring, and yes, the trick system is back, which is cool. But the animation was it wasn't fluid enough to where it looked natural. It's weird looking. You have like one half of an animation that looks really good, but the other is unpolished. So I have to wonder if the animations are still being worked on. As of right now, I don't know. But it's hand in hand with the second point, my negative with the game, and that is popping. I also mentioned that the engineers did an almost really good job. However, I was alluding to this. There's a lot of popping from grass to gameplay elements. It looks like objects will only appear if they're close or middle range to you, which for grass, it can look okay, but for other more larger objects like springs, platforms, grind wells, it just doesn't look right at all. And like, now that I've gone through all my main points, how am I feeling overall? Okay, well, while this game still needs it still needs some active development and work put into it. The lack of momentum is upsetting, but I never really expected something like that. Since day one, I was expecting it to be something like this. And while I feel it fits how I imagined it, it's left me feeling a bit more positive, actually. I was quite unsure at first, but just sitting down and just rewatching the thing and just thinking, okay, and trying to imagine how I would play it, because I think one of the main problems people were having with this trailer was how the person presenting it was. And it has been confirmed that IGN was not the one playing this. This was from Sega, so I don't know why the hell would they play it like this. But I'm like imagining, like, now that I've seen the gameplay, I'm imagining what I can do. And I think there's the possibility that there could genuinely be a lot of fun you could get from this. And I'm trying to not let my feelings get the best of me. That's how I've come to this conclusion. I just looked at the trailer, continued on with my day, and just think about what I saw. The game definitely needs work put into it. But for me at least, the game's positives do outweigh its negatives. Now, I know there's a big discussion about a delay. That's the big question to a lot of people. And I have wondered if that's the case, if they should delay. However, I feel my gripes with the game, in simplistic terms, are easy to work on before the game goes gold. We have... Let's say they release it in December. That gives us 6 months. And it can take 1 to 2 months for them to, like, actually, like, produce copies and stuff like that. And, like, you know, the final build, like, the final version, like, gets on the store shelves and stuff like that. I think that can take, like, 2 months or a month. So we've got like 4, 5-ish months of active development left that they can do. And obviously there is day one patches as well. I think they have the chance to fix my problems with the game at least. I'm just having issues with animation popping, and I feel that can be resolved before launch. That's the only issues I have. But let's say they do delay it to 2023, I feel like the demands of some are too substantial to try and tackle. Asking for stuff like animation, pop-in, and stuff like that can be managed. Those can change. But asking for momentum of adventure physics, it's just too much to change at its core of the game. I'm sorry, that's just how it works. It's not going to be like, oh, you're going to spend an extra year of development on it, and it's suddenly Sonic Adventure free. No, it's not going to be like that. This, like, what we've seen right now, other than, like, you know, pop-in, janky animation and stuff like that, the actual game, the core of it, that is what it's going to be. And in my personal opinion, yes, it looks frightening because it's, you know, it's working on the Forces framework, but just seeing it, just how the person's running and all that, and just how, what it looks like, what does controls look like, I'm actually quite satisfied. With that, I'm quite satisfied. Obviously, like, level design and stuff like that is completely different thing, but we haven't seen enough of. But I think that the core of the game, it isn't ideal for people, but I think it will manage to work. And I know that the reuse of assets will upset people because there has been some assets that are being reused for this game. But there is this saying in the industry: work smarter, not harder. Every developer in the industry encourages the reuse of assets and models and stuff. That's a nitpick, not a genuine issue. That's a nitpick. You might not like it, and that's fine, but that is not an issue. That has never been an issue with any other Sonic game. A lot of Sonic games reuse assets, reuse models. And I don't understand this idea that, oh, it's only an issue now. No. If it was an issue, then it must have been an issue for every other game. But it's not. So I'm going to go off the assumption that it's just nitpicking. But to me, the game looks fun. Just running around the world feels nice and calming. And just watching the gameplay demo, I desperately want to do that myself. This game feels like it was made for me personally. If Sonic Team does delay, of course I'll support it. But I just don't expect that. Your requests you know, your feedback, your requests, they need to be realistic right now. So what feedback that you can give can lead to small changes that make a big difference. Some games, right, in the franchise, stuff like Forces, Lost World, you know, games that fall just underneath like the requirements needed. They're fine experiences. They just get hampered by small issues, and you have all these small issues that it's like Jenga. You'll have all the great pieces on top, but you'll have the rocky foundations, like the small issues that are making an issue out of the whole thing. The moment that collapses, the whole thing collapses, and I can understand that, and that's why people feel the way they do for some games. The janky animations, the pop-in, those types of things, they can be solved, and we need to tell them that they need to be solved. If they weren't there, and we just looked at this gameplay of just Sonic running around, you know, getting a feel of the world, and it didn't have any janky animation, it didn't have any pop-in, it was just that, I don't think we'll be in this amount of fallout. And I'm going to be honest. This is their first attempt at something like this. They have never done anything like this. I never, ever expected them to stick the landing perfect or brilliantly. I never expected that. What I want from Frontiers, at the very least, and from what I can tell, it is looking like it's going to be that. It's going to be a pretty good foundation for the future. If we ever get like a Frontiers 2 or a Frontiers 3, I know this is looking way in the future, but I'll always remember what Takashi Iizuka said. He wanted this game to impact the franchise for the next 10 years, like how Sonic Adventure impacted the franchise for that 20 years. If you have a good foundation, you can make anything good. Obviously, there might be some questionable design choices and stuff, but a good foundation leads to fun. And I hope that, at the very least, the game is fun and enjoyable, so that the next game and the game after that can work off it and improve from it. That's what they need to do. They're doing something that isn't just the boost. They're incorporating a lot of elements from the franchise and put it into this. And, you know, all of it might not work. And that's okay. They just need to make sure the game is fun and enjoyable and allows experimentation with the gameplay. That's it. You might say that's the bare minimum. We should be aiming high for that. This isn't easy. Development isn't easy, especially with Sonic, because Sonic is such a specific thing. You wonder why Sonic can have so many inconsistencies. It's because the character is fast. That's the nature. How can you make a game around a fast character? The adventure games did it pretty well. The boost games did it pretty well. But it's not easy. And that's where a lot of my sympathy goes towards Sonic Team, because they're trying something completely different. When I first saw the gameplay, I thought I was going to feel disappointed. That's how I felt. But the more I sat on it, and the more I just looked at everything they had shown us and what we're going to be seeing, because what we've seen is like the surface, the skin of this is the tip of the iceberg, because we're going to be getting a combat trailer tomorrow. We're going to be getting, you know, story context. This whole month is dedicated to Frontiers. And because of that, I can't make a judgment. I can't make a final statement. I can give my opinion, but I can't make judgment yet. And I hate that, because I'd like to just say, okay, this game looks good or bad. All right, can I move on to something else? I'll always be excited for it, even if it's bad, but I just want to move on to something else. But I can't. I'm looking at this game, and the potential is like just oozing from it, and it feels like they've got something there, but they're presenting it in the wrong way, and the show that like they're playing it the wrong way. Like it's genuinely frustrating. I just want to grab that controller and just feel it. I just want to play it, and that's where any frustration for me comes from. And it's just the urge to play it. And if that's the only thing I'm frustrated about, then they've done a pretty good job at making me want to play the fucking game. That's where I'm at. I just want to play the game. I so hope there's a demo. I so hope. But that's all I can say. I'll wait and see other coverage of the game, and I'll post what I find is substantial. However, I'm waiting until the end of June to give a full, proper judgment. I hope you're all doing alright, and I'll talk to you later. See ya.